The Albanese government is pressuring the coalition to support the rewrite of the Stage 3 tax cuts. But as we heard from the Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor just a few moments ago, the opposition is keeping its cards close to its chest as to how it will deal with that legislation for the cuts in the Parliament. Let's bring in my Sky News colleague, the former Labor Minister, Graham Richardson. Richo, good to see you as always. A week on from that backflip over the Stage 3 tax cuts. How do you think they've gone down, firstly?
Well, I think so far it's been manageable for Labor. I mean, it's never easy to break promises, but every politician does. So I think the public are accustomed to it, and I don't think you suffer a huge discount because you do it. You suffer some damage inevitably, but I don't think it's ever fatal.
Because for the Prime Minister personally, the coalition is going to try and make it very difficult for him to shake that broken promise tag.
Yeah, they're going to try and make it difficult, but a lot of this stuff just washes off, Albo, because of that likeability factor. People just think he's a good fella, and they'll forgive a lot if they think you're a good fella.
OK, well, Anthony Albanese will be hoping you're right on that one, Richo. What about the coalition? How do you expect they'll play it in the Parliament? It's very difficult, of course, to vote against giving people a tax cut.
You can't vote against giving people a tax cut. I suppose all you can do is stand up and say, well, I would have given you more, which is what oppositions always do. And I assume that's what the Liberals will do. But when the crunch comes, if you're the one actually doing it and giving it, you're the one that's going to get the credit. So Labor will come out of this OK.
And how do you think the major parties will fare in the Dunkley by-election? Do you expect the tax cuts will be a huge issue there?
I think they're going to be an issue, but of course in a by-election you can have lots of issues, and I dare say we'll have a few. By-election swings, people used to say that the average swing in a by-election is 4%. It's considerably higher now. I'd love to see somebody do an exercise on what swings are acceptable in by-elections, but it seems to me that if you can keep the swing under 7, you're doing OK.
Richo, I also wanted to ask you for your thoughts on Scott Morrison's departure from politics. How do you expect the history books will write up his legacy?
Well, I'm saddened by it. Scott and I have been friends for a long time, for a considerable period before he went into Parliament, as well as the time he was in it. He's a very, very good Australian, and he's done a great job for the people of Cook. I think it's sad that we're losing someone of his experience and someone of his talent. It's but of course we all move on, and he's certainly entitled to do that. He's done more than his share.
What do you think of the way Australia treats former Prime Ministers, Richo? In the US, there's a lot more tradition around this in terms of the president, former president, holding roles and being really rolled out in an official capacity more than we see here in Australia.
Yeah, well, in America you keep the title, which means a lot, but also, of course, they build you a library. I don't know whether Australia needs another library, but America apparently can always do with another one. So I suppose we could do something like that if we really wish to. But I think Prime Ministers, generally speaking, make their own legacy. They're the ones who have the power to make decisions, and it's those decisions upon which they're judged.